He held true to his second motto. Yesterday, I received the Hall of Fame plaques that you see up here. What I'm giving each of our inductees is a plaque, a copy of today's newspaper that has a lot of the information in it, and also a sweatshirt so they can wear that at the football game tomorrow night. It's getting a little bit colder at night, so when we introduce you at halftime of the football game tomorrow, you'll have an option of something to wear anyway. Anyways, I got the plaques yesterday, and I opened the box, and my awards guy is Kent Frederick with Faison Design, and he's never made a mistake on me until this one. I opened the plaques and was going through each of them, and I noticed immediately it said no S in the name that you see before you. It was Groshart. And I thought if he had to make a mistake, that was probably as fitting of a typo as there could be, because my next inductee has more heart than a lot of people you'll ever know. I want to introduce to you Cathy Elizabeth Trigo Groshart. Cathy Trigo graduated from Worland High School in 1968. She was a member of the local chapter of the Future Teachers of America and was inspired by longtime West Side School teacher Lillian Leithhead. She knew immediately that she wanted to be a special education teacher. Cathy attended the University of Wyoming before transferring to the University of Northern Colorado, where she graduated magna cum laude. While student teaching at UNC, Cathy also had her first opportunity to be a Special Olympics volunteer at the Foothills Gateway facility. Shortly after graduating, Cathy was approached by Worland School Superintendent John Seafang about an elementary special education teaching job, which he accepted. Immediately after beginning her first year as a teacher in Worland, Cathy established the community's first ever Special Olympics program, paving the way for the region from Cody to Lander, known as Area 1, to become the premier Special Olympics program in the state of Wyoming. Over the next 2 decades, Cathy prepared her Special O athletes for the area games in both the fall and the winter, taking Wyoming delegations to international games in places like Baton Rouge, Notre Dame, Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Minneapolis. From 1981 until 1986, Cathy served on the State Special Olympics Board and was the board vice president and also chairman of the Training and Games Committee. In 1985, Cathy was named the Wyoming Special Olympics Volunteer of the Year. That year, she and her husband Dwayne were also given the Community Builders Award from the Worland Tinsley Chamber of Commerce. Making her mark in the classroom as well, she was named the 1992-93 Teacher of the Year by the Wyoming Council for Exceptional Children, and in 1995 was the Washakie County School District No. 1 Master Teacher. Months later, after winning that award in November of 1995, Cathy was riding in a powered parachute when she fell from the sky, as she later put it, breaking her femur, her neck in 3 places, all the ribs on her right side, and resulting in her right arm being amputated. Cathy survived the accident and went through many months of surgery and rehabilitation in a courageous effort to return to the classroom. After 24 years of teaching at all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school, she was forced to retire in 1999. Cathy has been married to her journalist husband, Dwayne Groshart, for 46 years. She has 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 3 honorary grandkids, and she and Dwayne still reside here in Worland. Throughout it all, she has been inspired by all the students and athletes she has worked with, as well as the Special Olympics motto, "Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt." Ladies and gentlemen, Cathy Groshart.
Thank you, Aaron, for the nice words. I'd also like to thank the people who wrote kind words for me for my nomination, as well as the committee for this amazing award. And I would like to congratulate all of you present winners and the past inductees. By the way, Donnie, do you remember when I was your babysitter back in the day? I am thankful as well to have been born in Worland and brought up here. My brothers and I used to joke about being born in a hospital that then became a library. They said, oh, you were born under fiction. And my retort was, well, you were born under the science fiction. I attended Eastside School and was part of the first grade class to enter it. Later, I was in the first class to go all the way through what was then the new high school. Aaron mentioned one of my mentors, Lillian Leafhead. I was lucky enough to have her in the 4th grade. She was my favorite elementary teacher, and she taught me a lifelong appreciation for music, literature, and the other fine arts. In junior high, Hattie Bernstead was my favorite. She sure made Wyoming history come alive. Other inspirational teachers were Sadie Netterbit, John Stroud, and Dick Scott, who later taught me painting as an adult. Jim Fassler was the best English teacher ever. And later, I was able to ride with him to Tinsley, where he was the leader of the Wyoming Humanities book discussion group. And I loved Lanny Bryan's biology class, especially the dissecting. One year I was his student aide, and then after school I helped him with his wrestling publication, Scholastic Wrestling News, which later became Wrestling USA. I also attended Girls State while I was in high school. I want to give a shout out to my parents, Evelyn and Wilbur Trigo. My dad, a pharmacist, instilled in me a work ethic that was to serve me well throughout the years. He insisted I have a job throughout my teens, and even before that, my brothers and I washed glass bottles of medicine behind the counter at Graham Drug every week. My dad also encouraged me to pursue higher education and taught me to love my neighbor, regardless of color, religion, or education. My mom was artsy-craftsy and a great flower gardener, attributes that she passed on to me. And her timing in childbirth was incredible. I was born on October 13th. My 2 brothers were born on November 13th, 3 years apart. And my dad, coincidentally, was born on August 13th, the date that Dwayne and I were married. I bet you can't guess what my lucky number is. After high school, through hard work and with a scholarship, I was able to attend World Campus Afloat. It's now known as Semester at Sea. With 499 other students, I was one of 5 freshmen and only 3 people from Wyoming. And we traveled to 15 different countries on a 4-month trip. One of the most memorable places we visited was Machu Picchu. Back in 1968, it wasn't nearly as developed as it is today. It was an extraordinary sight. What a way to spend my first semester of college. I began my teaching career, as Aaron said, at Westside Elementary in the fall of 1974, Westside was then the newest school in the district. My special education classes included grades 3 through 6. When Albion Ewellberg retired from the junior high, I took over his position. In the spring of '75, I also started a Special Olympic track and field program in Worland. I've been involved in Special Olympics when I was student teaching, and the program here grew to include not only my students, but students from the junior high, Tinsley, and even Graybull. Through the years, it expanded to include winter sports, bowling, basketball, soccer, cycling, swimming, equestrian, and gymnastics. It was during this time in 1979 that I started a part-time special education program at the high school. Until then, the students usually quit at age 16. In 1981, my program went full-time. I was also able to facilitate a jobs program where my students went out into the community with a job coach and worked at different occupations. I met my Special Olympics mentor, Priscilla Dowse, around 1978. She was a teacher in Green River and also had a Special Olympic program there. Dowse then went to work for the state and became training and games coordinator. By the time she retired in 2019, she was CEO of Wyoming Special Olympics. And it was through her encouragement that I became involved in the state programs and various positions throughout the years. While the local and state programs were most of my focus, the national and international events were equally fulfilling. And there were many memorable encounters with various celebrities, including Arnold Schwarzenegger and Patrick Swayze. It was in Salt Lake City, the ice skating venue for the 1985 Winter International Games, that I ran into Arnold. A Wyoming athlete by the name of Fern and I were wandering around waiting for her event to start, and she spied some stationary bicycles in a glassed-in workout center. She immediately wanted to ride one. I tried to explain to her that the room was off limits because it had police tape everywhere, but Schwarzenegger, who was in there working out, motioned us in. He showed Fern the different kinds of equipment, and on one piece, he was lifting weights while sitting, and he asked Fern to feel the muscles in his thighs. Oh my gosh. Fern demurred, but I would have taken him if I in it. He then had Fern try all these different stations, and at one point, he lifted the tape and said, "Come on, Fern, let's race." She was in seventh heaven. She had no idea who Arnold Schwarzenegger was, only that he was the guy who let her ride the bicycles. At another Winter International Games in Reno Lake Tahoe in 1989, Dwayne and I were coaching cross-country ski practice with the Wyoming athletes when a limo pulls up and out steps Patrick Swayze. This was right after Dirty Dancing and made him a superstar, and the athletes went crazy. They started yelling and screaming. He hung around for quite a while, signing autographs, talking. At one point, a journalist asked him to get up on the awards stand with an athlete to take a photo op. He said, "No, that's for the winners." That endeared him to me. After about 45 minutes, one of his handlers pointed to his watch, indicating it was time to go. Patrick shot back, "No, I'll tell you when it's time to go. I'm with my friends now." Speaking of heroes, I also want to mention a couple of parents of my Special Olympians. They did so much to help the program through the years. There was Joni Grosh Johnson, who helped get a bowling program started because she was an avid bowler, and then she helped run it. Terry Cook started the Memory Tree, which is a local fundraiser, and she also helped make this induction possible. I know I'm leaving out some of them, but it seemed that at times we were just one big family. Many people within the school district were a key part of Special Olympics. Jan Modell Robbins, along with Bob Bayou, coached gymnastics, and then there was Kevin Heyer. Most coaches and volunteers have to be asked or begged to help out. But as a first-year teacher, Kevin came up to me after the initial teachers meeting and told me his qualifications and asked me if he could help out. He ended up coaching swimming, helping with basketball, along with track and field. Kathy Wise, Tina Krejci, and Rusty McDonald also volunteered their time. Kitty Reed, my longtime aide, was a chaperone early on, and Paula Beck-Cord was a coach chaperone throughout high school. Pete Swanson took over as local coordinator after I left the program. I also had so much help from the community. Marlene Bauer took care of the local and area finances. Sally Sperry started our equestrian program and was in charge of the equestrian delegation at the 1991 International Summer Special Olympics in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Sandy Beck was a bowling coach, and her husband Clarence, along with Harold Schmidt, collected money and used that to help buy team uniforms. Jim Gilman was a coach in the ski program for many years. In the early days of Special Olympics, athletes used to stay in people's homes. I never had problems getting people to sign up to take one athlete or two, and sometimes they even came the next day to cheer their athlete on. And some of them requested the same athlete when we held an event again. I owe a big thanks to our school district for their backing during my tenure. I petitioned the school board, the superintendent, and the business manager, and as a result, I was paid a coaching stipend, and so were other Special Olympic coaches in the district. These were the first paid positions in the state, and it paved the way for other districts to follow suit. Washakie County Special Olympics became a groundbreaking program and was used as an example for others who were starting or bettering their programs. From coach to local coordinator to vice president of the board of directors, head of training and games committee, I was involved in all areas of Wyoming Special Olympics, and I even helped write a training manual for coaches working with athletes or putting on games. It was a lot of hard work, but Dwayne and I always felt that we got back much more than we put in. Still, it was a thrill to be honored in 1995 by the Worland Tinsley Chamber of Commerce with the Community Builders Award, the first couple to ever receive that award. Because of my involvement in special education, I've also been honored by Delta Kappa Gamma, a teacher's sorority, Business and Professional Women, Who's Who of American Women, Council for Exceptional Children, and the Master Teacher Award for District Number 1. One beautiful November Sunday in 1995, my life was to change dramatically. Dwayne agreed to do a feature story for the Northern Wyoming Daily News on powered parachutes. Powered parachutes are basically go-karts with a motor and a fan behind it and a parachute trailing behind. The parachute catches the wind and elevates the machine. I'd seen them circling over Worland when my athletes and I were training for state games, and I thought, wow, I sure will have a story to tell them on Monday. So after Dwayne took pictures from the ground and in the air, it was my turn. Coming from opposite directions, two of the go-karts, powered parachutes collided, lost air in the parachutes, then we fell 50 feet to the ground. I had to, I don't remember anything until 3 weeks later, waking up in Billings in St. Vincent's. That was the end of my Special Olympics career. I did try to make a comeback to teaching, but my pain was unbearable, and I ended up retiring, not in 98, but the last year of the 20th century in 1999. I had to give up canoeing, weaving, and pottery, but I found bridge, flower gardening, and taken up pastel painting since then. Again, I want to thank everyone involved in my induction in the Hall of Fame, but mostly I want to thank my husband of 46 years, who originally nominated me, and above all, has stuck by my side through thick and thin. And by the way, I want to honor Roger Utes, who was a part of the very first people that were inducted to this Hall of Fame. Anyway, Thank you, everyone, and good night.